get a big old video for Daddy Dom, Mama Rhea, and Maniac Morgan at the start of Raw. Let's just be honest, it's been a pretty good storyline. Also, hello my friends, and welcome to Ups and Downs, the review show you need in your life to 1, understand what is happening in the world of professional wrestling, and 2, so we can all get mad and start a fight in our brains. And that doesn't make any sense, but come on, let's all take our finger of powers and fops, give the good bits an up, the bad bits are down. We then did get a mega reaction because Rhea Ripley did make her proper return to Monday Night Raw. Honestly, she is such a baby face, and she is about to fly. I also laugh because for all of this, we did get that same shot we had with Jade Cargill a few weeks ago, when the elevator opens and Rhea is just there. Like, there's no way this is not staged, unless the camera operator is just waiting outside of these things. If they are doing that, they're really, really weird. Rhea then reminded us it has been 3 months exactly since Liv Morgan took her out and took away her world championship. And while she may have been mucking around with Dominik Mysterio, which we will get to eventually, right here, right now, the main reason Mummy is back is to get back her title when she challenged Liv Morgan to a match at SummerSlam. So we ain't messing around. She also made it very clear that while Liv may have been trying to upset her life, all she had done is piss her off when she tried to use Wrestling Rule 14.8 to bring Liv to the ring. One of two things happened. Either one, my word, Liv Morgan has somehow transformed into Dominik Mysterio, or 2, it was just Dominik Mysterio. We will never know. He came out with a single Brack Rose as well, which I really liked, because we are now just aping everything we did do back in the day between Eddie Guerrero and China. And I like a bit of nostalgia. It makes me feel warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum. Ripley didn't care about any of this though, and basically ignored Dominik and was like, why are you such an asshole? When Liv Morgan, well, she appeared on the big screen. So I was like, how the hell did she do that? Who in the production truck did she curse? She also apologized for her raspy voice because she had been in Mexico all weekend, and everybody knows she likes to make a lot of noise. Let's just move on from that one quickly. She also tied all of this into everything with Domi as well, because she was like, Rhea, I didn't understand what you saw until, I started giving the condom some kisses, and now I totally get it. I was like, Morgan, what are you doing? She's going to kill you. Morgan also dropped the line that Mummy may be back, but Liv is finally on top. If you are a younger viewer, child, watching Ups and Downs, she was talking about Jenga. That's right, because in Jenga, you want to be at the top of the pile. I mean, that's categorically not true. Dominik then freaked out because it's not what it looked like, even though it's definitely what it looks like, when Rhea was like, listen, you a massive whip, Liv Morgan, because you won't come to the ring, but don't worry, because we shall settle this at Hot WrestleMania. Morgan still wouldn't shut up though, because she was like, man, that's fine by me, but let's not forget either. Do you know who was the person that helped Dominik Mysterio beat his deadbeat dad? It was I, Livus Morgan, and did you ever do that, Ripley? No, you did not. Morgan then blew a kiss to Rhea, so Ripley came back and basically said, I'm gonna end your career. So I was chuckling away again. When Rhea left the ring, Dominik was like a lost puppy here. He didn't know what to do. So I really do think when we get to that pay-per-view premium live event, of course, Dominik's going to be like, I am actually aligned with Liv Morgan, and he will screw over Rhea Ripley, but this storyline has everything. You've got the personal beef, you've got the title beef, I suppose you've got the sexy beef, which I massively regret saying, but when you take 3 types of beef and you stick it up my ass, which I also regret saying, it's getting it up. Then saw everybody arriving at the building, because how else would we know they are going to be on Raw, where we basically once again copy and pasted everything between Eddie Guerrero and China, because Dominik was following Rhea Ripley through the building going, please, please forgive me, when Rhea opened up her locker room, and there was a bunch of gifts. Ripley didn't like that at all, so she slammed the door in his face when Damian Priest just rocked up, and he was like, I told you, you idiot, why didn't you listen to me? Dom finally admitted that things were not good, which is when Rhea opened the door and just threw some flowers at him. That made me laugh as well. I mean, at that point, if you are Mysterio, you should just go, you know what, I'll count my losses here and move on. But I tell you now, he did not decide to do that. When we had the worst moment on Monday Night Raw, the flub is happening. But out came Sheamus for his match with Bronson Reed, and Too Many Limes, his awesome entrance song, is gone. But we didn't go back to his last entrance song, which is actually pretty good too. We've got this brand new one, and I'm sorry, the production meeting for that must have gone like this. So guys, look, we need new music for Sheamus. I've got it. Irish. And that was the end of the meeting. I know all of his themes have had a little bit of Irish spin to them, but this was so generic. And why would you ever replace a banger with a sparkler? So why does it matter in the grand scheme of things? And around about 5 minutes I won't care anymore. I have the power, like He-Man, it's getting it down. Still though he was facing Reed, we got bid men slapping man meat. So instantly I was happy again. Sheamus came flying out the gates too when he got screwed over by the commercial break. Because when we did return for the adverts, Bronson Reed was basically screaming in his face. This one is nice and easy to figure out though. Bronson probably went, ha ha, g'day mate. Have you heard that terrible new music of yours? It sucks. Sheamus was like, man, it does suck, when he got slapped right in the nose. That'll do. He still was able to hit him with the white noise, so Bronson Reed hit him with a powerbomb, which is very impressive. But when he went to go for the moonsault, he totally missed. I was like, Braun, I could have told you that was going to happen. It also opened the door though, because Sheamus then hit him so hard in the face with that running knee, he pinned him for the 1-2-3. Now, one, that rhymes, so it must be true. But also, it meant he didn't even go for the bro kick. Even he was like, that guy's definitely done, winner. Now, Bronson did attack Sheamus right after this, and even though Pete Dunne came out to make this save and got rid of that guy, as soon as Sheamus tried to shake his hand, Pete was like, nope, and he beat Sheamus' ass too. I was like, Peter, what are you doing? This is like Googling map to your own house. What exactly have you achieved? It also allowed Bronson Reed to go to the top and hit the tsunami, so Dunn didn't actually help anything here. But look, this does tie into the greater good. When they were the brawling brutes, Sheamus basically abandoned them, so now Pete is like, not on my watch. So I just like the fact that you do get important stories throughout Raw. I mean, it is 3 hours, we do have the time. Give it an up. However, I do kind of think that Bronson Reed is just losing a little bit too much now. Like, we don't even try to protect him. And I think he has a massive upside. I want to make sure we don't lose that. This is one of my nerd downs, because I like Bronson Reed. I'm not saying he should have beat Sheamus here, but honestly, go through his recent win-loss record. It is not looking good. That's a down. When we made it very clear that when it comes to the good guys of the Judgment Day, it's most definitely Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest. Because they were super happy that they have come back together on Raw, and Rhea was always like, thank you so much, Damian, for keeping everything together, even though you've had a lot of madness on your shoulders. Damian then made it clear that tonight's going to be absolutely fine for him, because one, he is going to have that face-to-face with Gunther, and two, he's going to take care of the Braun Strowman problem, which they should have dealt with a long time ago. Rhea was also confused though, because why is Carlito in the clubhouse? So quite clearly she hasn't been watching Raw. And just as Damian was about to tell her Dominik Mysterio was back, go, please forgive me. He got totally murked though, because he was like, Ripley, why have you been ignoring me all week? And she turned to him and said, well, maybe you should ask the question to yourself, because you've been ignoring me for the last 3 months. Rhea then verbally ended him. She was like, well, it's because you've been running around with your brand new girlfriend. So once again, we're going to get to SummerSlam. This is all going to go very bad, especially because the rest of the Judgment Day were playing WWE 2K24 here, and somebody had picked Rhea Ripley, and somebody had picked Liv Morgan, and if you did look in the background, do you know who was in control during that match? Well, I'll tell you this, and I don't think this was meant to be a ha-ha, but it was not Rhea Ripley. Dun, dun, dun. Around the same time, we also saw Sami Zayn bump into Ilja Dragunov because they're actually going to have a match for the Intercontinental title later, so we be eaten. They wanted to make it very clear to Ilja, though, he's not getting this opportunity because he saved him last week, although he definitely is. It's because he's been watching Ilja Dragunov from afar, like some kind of a stalker, and actually he sees a little bit of Sami Zayn in Ilja. He also sees Dragunov's talent, and he just knows when they do go at it, they're going to bring the best out of each other. Let me give you a small spoiler. That is so true. This match was crazy. We then had this awesome video for Gunther, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause it here, and we'll get to it later. But it has left me in the position where I do ponder, should we introduce her? Does Gunther know wrestling is a work machine? Because honestly, this guy, he may be the best damn person on the entire roster. We also then cut to Jackie Redmond, and she was talking to Zelina Vega. Zelina was like, let me tell you this. I do not care for Liv Morgan. I don't care for Rhea Ripley either. She also blamed Dominik Mysterio for costing her the Women's Championship a few weeks ago when in walked Sonya Deville, Shayna Baszler, and Zoey Stark. And if you're new to the show, do not forget, we stand Zoey Stark on this show. The Zoey Stark Train of Support Fun. That was wrong. The Zoey Stark Train of Fun, where we support her, it is heading all the way to the station. Sonya thought it was hilarious too that Vega thought she deserved a shot at the championship, because right now, you haven't even won the Street Fighter tournament. Either way, both thought this was bogus, so they did decide to have a match. I was glad that did happen, because they instantly went to the ring and they had a flipping match. Now, I was actually super happy about this, because we haven't seen Sonya Deville in a ring for what, like 6 months, and she won here, so that's no bad thing. That made me go, wahoo way, but there was one massive problem with this. I mean, it honestly went about 62 seconds. And this was mostly because Shayna Baszler and Zoey Stark did basically cast distraction straight away when Sonya used what I think she calls the Devil's Advocate finish, which is a ridiculous name, for a move, and she got the 1-2-3. So look, I am going to give it an up because I like Sonya getting wins, but we could have dedicated more time to this, so it's getting it down. At least we did something later. Because as soon as they were going to beat her up too, out came Lyra Valkyria, Kayden Carter, and Katana Chance, and they ran these people away. So yeah, later on we were going to do the tag match, but still, we probably could have given this 2 minutes. Don't think it would have upset the flow of the show. Dominik was then being an asshole backstage again, because he found Damian. He's like, listen, Priest, why didn't you tell me that Rhea Ripley was here last week? And even I was like, condom, man, there are so many reasons. Now, fair play to Priest as well, because he said this too. He was like, man, I gave you so many warnings. And don't forget, it was you that kept lying to everyone. You are a massive goober. Jey Uso then made me laugh, because he strutted in, and he was like, oh my gosh, Rhea Ripley is single, so it's time to mingle. And the look on Dominik Mysterio's face, this is the best thing that's happened all year. He also seemed very friendly with Damian, so there's another tease. When he also said to them, hey, if you do bump into Rhea, tell her I said yeet. I was like, bro, you can't tell a girl yeet on the first date. You're gonna end up on TikTok. Dominik was so offended by this though, he was like, listen man, I was in prison, so I know you're not allowed to talk to me like that. The long and the short of it is later on, they're gonna have a fight. It's also when Chad Gable won the evening, because he went and fouled Adam Pearce, and he said, do you know what I have figured out? Bo Dallas is Uncle Howdy, and Uncle Howdy is Bo Dallas. That made me laugh out loud. He also knows that Adam Pearce and Bo met last week, so he demanded to get information about this meeting. But Pearce said, nope, that was private. I was like, wait a minute. The Wyatt Six arrived like a month ago. They tried to kill people. And Adam, you were so worried, you hired extra security, and now you won't share vital information with a guy they almost killed. Great work. Pearce did reveal that Bo Dallas is in the building this evening, so maybe Chad should go ask him personally. I was dying here. I was on the floor. Now you're telling the guy that was almost murdered, why don't you go and talk to the person that tried to kill you? So once again, if you are on Raw, be very careful of Adam Pearce. Chad was fine with all this though, because like everything in his life, he will sort it out for himself. And yes, we'll get back to this later. I don't think that's going to work out very well for him though, which may actually be the same for Damian Priest when we get to SummerSlam. For our World Heavyweight Champion did come to the ring here and he's like, listen, there's lots of stuff I need to get done tonight. I shall beat Braun Strowman in a match, but also Gunther. You are the #1 contender, so why don't you get your ass out here right now so we can have a chat? Listen, Gunther knows about Wrestling Rule 14.8. Somebody said his name, so he came to the ring. This is where we do go back for that video from earlier, because Gunther was all like, listen, I get it. You love the WWE and it was your dream to grow up to be a WWE superstar. That is why you're completely wrong for this sport, because you let your emotions get in the way of everything. Better than the same for Gunther, because he is just here to get victories and win the championship. And also, I've been watching you, Damian Priest, holding that title. I'm just going to tell you this. You can't cut it, you're no good, and you absolutely suck. And he said this so matter-of-factly, even I started to go, yeah, Damian, you don't know what you're doing, even though Damian Priest has been brilliant. Gunther does totally understand this though, because they're not cut from the same cloth, so why wait until we get to Hot WrestleMania? Let's just save you some embarrassment. You can hold over the championship, and then you can run along and have a better day. So somebody needs to give that guy a medal, but Damian did fire back kicks. He was like, man, just you wait until we do get to that pay-per-view, premium live event. You are gonna find out firsthand I am not the guy you think I am. Also, I know all about you too. You were in Europe, getting everything handed to you while I was growing up on the streets. It also just means that Gunther is only here for a paycheck and we don't need people like you around here, whereas Damian has earned all of this because he climbed his way up from the bar. As always, Gunther replied to this in a very fake, respectful way. He was like, man, that does sound kind of difficult, but let's be honest here, if you were on the streets, that was your choice. Oh no. It all comes down to the fact that clearly Damian's parents didn't think much of him, so allowed him to get into such turmoil. When it comes to Gunther's mum and dad, man, they treated him like the super duper whooper star he is. This guy is something else. And he really does act like a superhero villain. And he went on to say WWE was on my phone all the time begging me to come to the main roster, but I didn't want to do it, which I do believe is true, but now he understands why they did annoy him, because they wanted to stop people like Damian Priest being world champion. Game, set, and match. So as ever, he shall win that championship and restore the honor and prestige to it, whereas you, Priest, will always be nothing but street trash. I was like, oh my gosh, how do we get here? Priest didn't back down at all though, because he was like, man, you're just doing it again with all this BS. Let's go back to WrestleMania 40. Do you know why you lost your Intercontinental Championship? It's because you don't have any heart. This turned out literally to be true, and Gunther died. That didn't happen. It just means that Gunther has never had to fight through anything in his life, whereas Priest understands that totally, which is why when we get to Hot WrestleMania, you can't beat me. So at that show, we're just going to find out that you're nothing more than a conceited, arrogant, absolute prick. And surprise, surprise, when they did say that, they started going head to head. It also answers all the critics who've been going, oh man, there's not enough star power in this match to be the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam. How do you expect people to get into that position unless you give them the ball to run with in the first place? And man, they took it here and they smashed it out the park. It also is just telling you that at SummerSlam, we are going to turn Damian Priest super duper mega babyface, whereas Gunther probably will win that championship and walk away and hold it for like, I don't know, 4,965 days. But this was a great back and forth. I am now pumped for that match. Let's get it up. It also got even better after this because just as they were about to go to blows, we just heard Raw. And out came Braun Strowman. Because of course he had a match with Damian Priest. And even Gunther thought this was funny. He literally went, ha 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 ha. The guy rules. I also want to give a shout out to Damian Priest though, because this dude shows so much range every single Raw. When we did go backstage and we found Adam Pearce telling Jey Uso, good news my friend, it's you versus Dominik Mysterio tonight. We also saw Bron Breakker march in here because he wasn't happy, although he's never happy, because he was like, why is Sami Zayn taking on Ilja Dragunov for the IC title? And after Adam was like, well, you could have had this and you weren't such an idiot all the time, Bron was like, well, fine, I'm going to interfere anyway, so who cares? Now, Pearce had prepared for this and there was a bunch of security guards that led Bron Breakker out of the arena. But you know the deal with the wrestling security guards, they absolutely suck. We shall get back to it. It also made Bron Breakker a massive James Bond villain because he just told Adam Pearce's plan. We went back to the ring and we just saw Braun Strowman go, Raw! As he did the most muscular, so I was gone again. Now, I really did enjoy this match, because even though they are both big men that can slap man meat, we basically sold it as Braun is the biggest man, and therefore Damian Priest is not the biggest man, and maybe he's the small man. I mean, at one point, Strowman grabbed him and beeled him across the ring. I've never seen that before. He also hit a big shoulder tackle as once again I was laughing, because I looked at Braun Strowman's top, and it says like big SOB or whatever, but because it's all in caps, it looks like we're saying, it's just one big sob. Like he goes home just and cries over a rom-com. Strowman also made the worst mistake of his life when he went for his choo-choo move. Damian was like, I don't want to get hit by that. So he threw Strowman into barricade and he went after his legs. This massively worked because when Braun went to give him the power slam, he couldn't do it because it was all woozy-goosey. Damian also elbowed him right in the face and man, he must have restored his MP meter and car superpower or something, because he then grabbed Braun Strowman and he hit him with the big old choke slam and he pinned him for the 1-2-3. Now that looked absolutely brilliant, but also what a great way to get your world champion all heated up before SummerSlam. He just beat a very big man. I mean, he's still definitely losing, but still this was the way to go. When Gunther came back out, he must have been backstage hanging out playing Nintendo, and they got into a big old fight. There ain't no going back now. We are on the road to SummerSlam, which is not a thing. This is getting it up. We then sort of teased that the Alpha Academy were going to get back to Chad Gable because they were talking about helping somebody out. When Chad walked in, he was like, oh man, thank you so much. Well, it turns out he should have listened harder because they were actually talking about Xavier Woods. Damn. Now Xavier was super happy about this because of course they can now take on the Final Testament last week. When Chad Gable walked off going, man, I'll show you. He was actually telling the truth. Before that though, we did have Kayden Carter and Katana Chance taking on Zoey Stark and Shayna Baszler, and I did like this because at least it played in to what happened earlier. So many times with guys and girls like this, they just vanished from Raw, so now finally we gave them some time. Lyra Valkyria and Sonya Deville were on the outside as well, but in the early going, this was all about Shayna, because people were jumping at her, people were trying to attack her, she was just like, nope, and she was throwing them into the floor, and as always, she just comes across like a badass warrior. Chance eventually got the tag, but she too got murked when Zoey Stark got in there, and even though she was almost surprised by the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, surprise roll-up, she's just like, well, you wasted my time here. She kneed her right in the face. I think at some point Chance too filled up her MP meter because all of a sudden she was doing knees to the face crossbodies and even hit a kickstand to the outside. And that allowed these two to get the tags going. They were doing some double teaming. Zoey and Baszler then just used this to regroup though. The whole time Chance must have doing this with her hand. And when it got to the right temperature, you know what happened. The hottest of tags. She did sweep the leg to get a crossbody when she hit a somersault to also get a 1-2 ooh. But then, as soon as it looked like they were going to get the win, guess what Sonya Deville with it? She went, turn around, it's fair play. She cast distraction. Now Lyra went to deal with that because that is why she is out here. But the referee couldn't handle any of it. When Zoey Stark and Shayna Baszler put their Captain Planet rings together, they hit a bunch of double moves and finished it with that huge knee. And they won with the 1-2-3, and it rhymes, so this was correct. So it was a little bit of a weird ending, but once again, do you know how you get fans to invest in people with care and time, or cat? Not cat, that's a stupid thing to say, but this felt like the most any of these guys have got from a long old time, so I am gonna give it an up. However, we do 100% need to keep it going, and also this Sonya Deville, Zoey Stark, and Shayna Baszler team, well, I think used right, it could go on to be something pretty good. It was then back to the Judgment Day Clubhouse after this, when Finn Balor and JD McDonald said, look, I know that Liv Morgan helped us win these tag team titles, but what are we gonna do? Now Rhea was like, it's all right, the titles are back where they do belong, but honestly, these two are so gonna screw her over too. Watch this space. Dom was then back and he was still pleading for forgiveness, and he basically lied here and said, oh my gosh, I did get Adam Pearce to make the match, so he better hope that Rhea Ripley doesn't watch Raw back, because as we know, that's not how it went down. Ripley still wasn't impressed and wanted to know why he'd done this. And Dominik said, because I want to remind everyone, you're my mammy and you belong to me. I was like, dude, you need to go get a clue. Every single thing you're saying is wrong. It's also a bizarre sentence, and then Rhea left the room, which is when Carlito gave it a few seconds, poked his head in and went, man, that's not cool. This guy gets it every single week. When we just ignored punishments. Why not? Because Adam Pearce was happy to welcome Drew McIntyre back to the show after he had served, give me 1 second, that's right, a whopping 1 week suspension. Now, he wasn't mucking around either, because he said, listen, Drew, I understand how big you versus CM Punk could be, but in order to get there, we need to get rid of all the pettiness, and we need to get rid of all the aggression, and we need to go back to being professionals. Now, Drew almost exploded here, but he totally understands it, and also the WWE Universe wants to see this match too, and everybody cheered. And just when it looked like Adam Pearce was going to make this happen, it turned out he had one proviso that the Scottish Warrior was going to have to agree to. Even I was like, man, this is not going to go well. Because after McIntyre had gone crazy a few weeks ago, the poor referees had been mashed in the face, and that's not fair because they're just doing their job. So true, you need to apologise to these two. And of course, McIntyre heard this and he had a proper meltdown. As far as he's concerned, this is the dumbest thing ever, because let's go through every single thing that CM Punk did. You didn't help Adam Pearce, and you didn't help official WWE referees, so why the hell should I be apologizing? Nobody has made CM Punk say sorry, not once since WrestleMania or before that at Clash of the Castle, and now I'm really, really mad. I thought about this. I was like, as usual, Drew McIntyre probably right. It was the things that Adam Pearce should be apologizing to him, and he's even super pissed off at Seth Rollins because he watched Raw last week and there he is trying to skip the line. I was trying to make a list here of all the people that Drew McIntyre hates, and I could not keep up with it. He also said that he wants CM Punk's head on a spike, so bring it down, there's the crime counter, because once again, if you go out onto the streets and start shouting, I want so-and-so's head on a spike, you go to jail. McIntyre then decided that this was a whole conspiracy and everyone was out to get him when he started throwing people around like he was a psychopath. I suppose Seth Rollins didn't think this was appropriate behaviour because he came out and they had a big old brawl. So it turned into an absolute PR nightmare, and I'm pretty sure Drew McIntyre got suspended again. But you could see what we're doing here. We're just taking our time and we're planting the seeds. We will, of course, do CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam. And this is just hinting how Seth Rollins is going to be worked in. At the moment, I don't know. Adam Pearce just plays his role great too, and this is going to sound like a stupid thing to say, but in terms of how real wrestling can feel, this must be at the tippity top of the list. You can totally buy that they all hate each other, and I'm very excited to see where it does go. Let's get it up. When we found out what was on Pat McAfee's tape. What? Basically, during his ESPN show earlier in the day, the Wyatt Six had delivered him a VHS, and he brought it to Raw, so we were going to watch it. I mean, why wouldn't you do that? The serial killer knocked on my door and he gave me something to watch, I'd be like, yeah, bro, come in for some tea. As ever, this was just brilliant, and this time we were focusing on Eric Rowan, who was having a conversation with Uncle Howdy, and man, you've all got to go and watch this, because talk about bringing it with the emotion. Because Eric carried on the theme about how much he had struggled over the last few years, because of course he had lost 2 family members when he found himself not only at the bottom of the well, but also at a well he was happy to stay in, because what's even the point of getting up in the morning? And I was like, man, this hit me right in the feels, because think how hard it must have been for him. He quite literally did lose 2 of his best friends. Howdy also wanted to know how all of this felt when Eric was like, man, it felt terrible, but then somebody reached out to try and help me, and of course this was the uncle. Because it was all about Eric Rowan needing some help, and now he thinks we should take our broken hearts and make some beautiful art. And honestly, he was crying throughout all of this, and it really got to me. I think he was making this up. It also just gives them so much depth because it is tying into some of the worst things that can happen in somebody's life, and it also explains everything we're doing here. They did all feel lost when this Uncle Howdy or Bo Dallas brought them together, who's also been at the center of the real life tragedies, and now they're gonna do whatever the hell it is they're gonna do. So much more than just, oh, we're running around in mask lol. It has real emotion to it, there's that word again, but honestly, all of these vignettes have been tippity top tier, and I cannot wait to see how it does play out. I'm giving it a massive up. When Jey Uso beat Dominik Mysterio. I mean, of course he did. Now, Mysterio did jump Dom to start here because he is an asshat when he clearly does not watch Ups and Downs, and why would he? But he is not listening to what I'm telling people. Do not steal people's taunts in 2024. Do not beat them up and do your own pose. It's only gonna go bad for you. Now, sure, he was able to bust out the three amigos. But when he went for the 619, what happened? Jey Uso got out the way, because of course he did. Dom then actually was able to avoid a dive when he got Jey, and he threw him into the ring post, and for a good while, he was actually kicking Uso's ass. I did have a moment here when I was like, man, Dominik Mysterio here, being the super duper mega heel that can control a match, we have come so far. So we have just solidified him as a main character when he did screw up a suplex, so Jey Uso went for the yeet down as everybody on the internet got mad. When he also hit the hip attack, and I tell you, in terms of this year, that has to be the most popular move, everybody does it. It looked like Jey was about to win when of course Liv Morgan arrived to cast distraction, but you could already figure this one out. Jey Uso then drop kicked her from behind, and her and Dominik came together again, and they were in that position when their groinal regions were touching. Don't get mad at me, I'm just the messenger. Rhea Ripley's music then hit, which cracks me up, because if you want to do a sneak attack, why wouldn't you play some music? And bless Liv Morgan, she just legged it. Like she ran through the crowd. She a very good heel. Rhea also told Dom to go and finish the job when he got back in the ring and got speared and hit with the Uso splash and lost. I was like, Mysterio, this could be the worst night for a wrestler ever. Jey Uso also pounced on that, because when he was looking at Rhea from outside the ring, he did the whole call me sign with his hands. I tell you, he is the best person on the planet, and all of this was super duper fun. Rhea also made sure to yell at Dominik afterwards and gave him the rose back as she reminded him, you don't own me. So I bet over the next few weeks, she does soften towards Mysterio again before he screws her at Hot WrestleMania. Watch this space. When Detective Gable was here, I tell you, this guy is just brilliant. Because he did indeed tell us that his intellect had allowed him to figure out that Bo Dallas is Uncle Howdy, even though we already knew that. And this was the most Kurt Angle he has ever been, but I mean that as a massive compliment. Given the Wyatts have been trying to kill him as well, he told Bo Dallas to come to the ring. And get this, even though Bo is spooky wooky, even he has to obey Wrestling Rule 14.8. So he came to the ring. Now it turns out this was a massive plan, because clearly after Chad Gable realised his old family had screwed him over, he got a brand new one. Because just as Dallas was about to get in the ring, here were the Creeds. They're wearing suits now because they are super duper serious. And along with Chad Gable, they whooped this man's ass. They even threw him into the ring post and barricade. Chad Gable also gave him this suplex, German suplex, that absolutely wrecked him. But the whole time Bo Dallas was just going, ha 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 ha. He wouldn't stop laughing. I tell you, I was a little bit creepy weepy. Gable then got in his face and was all like, what are you laughing at? Which was a terrible error because the lights went out, and bless these fans, they started to chant, you flubbed up, and they didn't say flub. We also got the Wyatt 6 music here, and they appeared from that door, and man, we got this amazing shot with the lights and the blue. I just watched it, I was like, look, if you don't like it, I totally get it, but for my tastes, I think it rocks. Gable and the Creeds also made sure to run away, because why would you stay here, as we got another great shot in the ring with Bo Dallas. So I guess at SummerSlam, we're going to do Chad Gable and the Creeds versus what? Like Eric Rowan, Bo Dallas, and maybe Dexter Lumis? I mean, that could be really interesting. And if you are going to do it on a big stage like that, you could have all the fun with it. But again, as an angle, I'm just invested. I cannot help it. I think it's being very well executed. I'm giving it an up. When we got to our main event, Sami Zayn, Ilja Dragunov for the IC title, this absolutely rocked. Now you knew what was going to happen given the events from earlier, but sometimes the obvious thing is obvious, because it's obviously the thing to do. Before we get there though, Sami Zayn and Ilja Dragunov must have met in the back beforehand and said, we're just going to kill each other, right? And that's what they did. Because they punched each other in the head so damn hard, and at one point, oh my gosh, Sami gave Ilja this German suplex, and he landed right on his head. At one point too, Dragunov tried to hit the Constantine special, but Zayn stopped that just by going wham, and he punched him right in the nose. And if you see that, you come and tell me. I think Dragunov was a bit rocked by it. Ilja was also able to block a blue thunder bomb, which was a massive waste of time because it wouldn't have worked anyway. When Sami Zayn did hit the least devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the thunder bomb of blue, it didn't work. Of course it didn't, it never does. Dragunov was still able to get to his feet where he hit a bomb of power, but when he went for an H-bomb, he wasn't able to do it. Mostly because if you actually do keep an eye on this, it always takes him until attempt number 2. Eventually though, they did find themselves on the outside, which is when Ilja did hit the H-bomb. I'm like, man, dude, this happens to you every single week. You have to do this in the ring unless you want to win by count out, and you don't. We then got the headbutts as we found ourselves on the ring apron, which is when Sami Zayn just smashed Ilja Dragunov with this haluva kick. But once again, you can't beat a guy unless he's in the square circle, where we just cut to the entranceway. And Braun Breaker was there, and within about 3 seconds, he had zoomed to ringside. My word, did he kill Ilja Dragunov with a spear. Of course, that led to disqualification where he just speared Sami Zayn as well. And during that, he was hitting the ropes about 4,922 times. And I think there was a little communication here, but they're both so good, somehow it made it even better. It also meant the Raw finished with Braun Breaker standing tall, which makes me believe we're going to do the triple threat match at SummerSlam, and Braun Breaker probably walks away as the IC champion. So plug me in, I am ready for that. We also have to point out the wrestling security suck once again, because why was nobody watching this guy? But who cares about that? I love the fact the Intercontinental Championship feels like such a big deal. I'm giving it an up. Before we do end though, I am giving one last out to the fact Kiana James wasn't on Raw again. We have just dropped that storyline. I know it will come back eventually. WWE does do that. But I'm a nerd, I tell you. Down. But yes, that is how Raw ended, and I'm going to give it an up overall because they have just got me so pumped for SummerSlam, and that's the job of the TV. If it was an old school pay-per-view, I would give the money, but instead I can just watch it for $9.99. Now, of course, make sure you drop me a comment below and let me know what you thought about last night's WrestleMania. Raw. Man, I'm tired. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the video on the screen, which is ups and downs, or smack it down so you can keep up with all my wrestling thoughts. Otherwise, my friends, take care. See you soon.